As I came out of the state address, many topics were covered, of course. I believe there was over 200 points that the governor brought up that were going to be addressed. I call it maybe calling some balls and strikes. Some of the things that I was glad to hear us talk about, first and foremost, mental health. I'm a huge supporter of the mental health, especially when we're talking about school-age children and the ability to offer mental health through our education thoroughfare, if you will. I was glad to hear about that. I think that's an upstream approach, and to deal with those issues that hopefully will have downstream result. That was something that I was happy to hear about. I was happy to hear that at least the governor addressed public safety. We all know that too is a continuing concern here in New York, and not only that, but in the 51st Senate District. It fell a little bit short, I think, in substance as to really what we're going to do to address that. But at least I think acknowledging that there was an issue and that there is an issue is one of the first steps to working in a very bipartisan manner on that. So I was glad to hear that. All right, some things I wasn't really too keen on. The governor had brought up about an outward migration issue and that it was tied to housing. I don't think you could have been further from understanding the issues to say that is the main reason that people are leaving upstate New York and my district was because of housing, unfunded mandates, taxes. There is still a public safety issue that is there. So again, there are many stresses on the folks in my 50% district that I think are starting to get people to think about wanting to leave New York. And I use the overall feel of the speech. Did that do anything to curtail that? And I think it felt a little bit short. And when the takeaway from that talk is the fact that we're hearing now in the halls as I was coming back from the address, the big thing that everyone was talking about is the school, the pools. If New York was in a great shape and we had all those other issues, and to talk about swimming, talk about improving reading, those are things that should be done anyway. Those are things that I would expect that wouldn't need to even be addressed or talked about in a State of the State address. Yeah, we got some work ahead of us. Being on the Finance Committee, I'm very interested, awaiting very eagerly the budget address that'll come out next week. So we got a lot of work to do. We still got a lot of work to do. Willing to find that common ground to work these things through. But I would also hope that our input, or more appropriately, my input, would be at least seriously taken under consideration.
One of the things I noticed, Senator, that it wasn't so much talked about was the climate initiatives she has previously have mentioned. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, election year. In all honesty, I think it was a softball, if you will, or to stay away from that issue because it is an election year. And again, if you look at the ruralness of my district and the amount of people that use solid fuel, i.e. wood, and was one of them. I'm not anymore because my back is not able to support it anymore. But I think that was one of the issues that the governor knew enough to stay away from and to give a little bit of cover to her side of the aisle because of it being an election year and for being a hot button, if you will, for the coming election cycle.
Senator, what is your outlook for 2024?
I'm always optimistic. Always optimistic. I always tell people in the district to get excited about the possibility of what can go right as opposed to getting upset about the potential of what could go wrong. And I think that we really still need to be optimistic. And I am. I believe that through respect and through true bipartisan effort, we can move things in the positive direction. It's funny when, in certain cases, when I feel my input due to a political affiliation is not considered or it's not even accepted, if you will. So again, I'm optimistic. We got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a long session. And again, when we mix in, as I said previously, the election cycle to this, it will make for, as we say here in Albany, an interesting year.
Senator, thank you so much for your time, for talking to us, letting us know about your thoughts on the state of the state today.
You're welcome.